Pardon me, y'all, if I sound a little bit quiet. You can turn up the volume if I'm too quiet. Not so much because my husband trying to sleep, but I'm also a little bit short-winded and a little tired today. We need to have a discussion about hood trauma and problematic relations, because this is the heart of why this article matters. I'm not trying to make this about me, but it's better that I get this out in the beginning of this video before I get into the story, because it's going to play into why we need to have a discussion about hood trauma. I'll come out and say it, and here's the thing. I told my dad this year, and this conversation was fairly recent, and actually I've told him this several times. Other than maybe one of his brothers and maybe two of his sisters, I don't really prefer to be around his family. And for the rest of my natural life, I won't ever go to the family reunions. He doesn't go either, and he rarely goes around them. His attitude is, I'll speak to relatives and be polite, but I don't want any drama. My position is, you don't have a right to cause me drama just because I have your bloodline, because I didn't ask to be related to you. That doesn't make me better than you. But I'll be honest with you, certain behaviors are not at my level of interest at this time in my life, being 44 years old. Okay. So I finally told my dad, I pray for their souls and I wish them nothing but the best, because you can't go around wishing the worst on people. What I've also said is that never say never. Of course, my plan is to never go to a family reunion again, because I don't want to be around certain types of behaviors, and we know how bad family reunions can get. I left for the military years ago for a reason, having planned this during Desert Storm when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and enacting it in 1999 at the age of 19. So I guess someone listening would say, okay, but what does this have to do with an black infant little girl somewhere in the United States? So I'm a bit late to the party, okay? Because this story is fairly old, but it still kind of happened recently. You know, news can be old after a week, as fast as things travel. This baby was born into a family that was known for participating in violent acts. This child, it was no secret that this family posted photos of themselves with lots of guns online and pretending to be gangster. But are they actually pretending? So this baby was born probably late 2022, early 2023, who knows, somewhere between those 2 years, into violence. One sister, the lady who left her daughter, this baby, 1 year old, had to go do something the article doesn't say. Left the baby with her sister. The next thing she knows, her child is rushed to the emergency room with several injuries. Okay. Mind you, the sister's boyfriend was there too, and the sister who dropped off her baby did not trust her sister's boyfriend. This is gonna be important when I say what I gotta say coming towards the end of this video. A lot of things happened to this 1 year old, including rectal bleeding, skull and neck fracture, and brain bleed. Mind you, both sisters had a brother, which the article doesn't say, who died or was unalived, who knows, a month before this baby went. Hadn't even hit 25 years old. And there's a picture of him posing with his niece. Okay. In his tributes, people put up photos of themselves posed with photos of him, and they're holding guns as a memorial to him, acting gangster. Now this little girl's gone. The boyfriend saying that he heard a slamming and that the little baby was slammed against the wall by her aunt because her crying or something got on the auntie's nerves. Auntie is saying that the boyfriend that the sister who left the baby don't trust is the one who did it. Now, yeah, this is a lot to follow, y'all, I know. The baby's mama slides into the DMs of, I believe, the grandmother of the baby and said, I don't know what's going on, I'm paraphrasing, but he couldn't have killed your granddaughter because I'm the first baby mama. He's the mom of my child, and he's a gentle father, and there's no sign he'd ever be that way. But the sister who dropped the baby off because it's her child said, oh, my sister is a sweet girl and ain't capable of that. It's that bleepity bleep N word she's with, that ninja she's with that did it. Okay. Let's get into what's problematic here. Okay. I think we live in a society now and can accept that it's time to have this conversation. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we say that about the black community as large because we've always seen ourselves as a collective, and the way in which this country set up its racial and gender stratification, we've had no choice. We've played the cards we're dealt. But we need to have discussion of what goes on when your blood-related skin folk don't act like kinfolk either. The fact of the matter is, this baby girl was left in the house with 2 adults, and now we're playing a game of who really did this and who didn't do this. Before I get into the sister, as I said at the end of this video, let me get to what I gotta say. Now, can we start to have the conversation going back to what I said about making it to adulthood? The diminishing return of hood trauma, and how some of y'all's kids who are in the military, like me, or like I was, may be lying to you and saying that they can't come home, despite the fact that sometimes they may have been granted liberty because they just don't want to deal with you. Your relatives that picked up with nothing and you picked on them, and they disappeared and don't come around, and you want to call them stuck up and elusive. Whether they built something or not, has it ever occurred to you that they don't want to be around you because they don't want to lose what they've worked for and what they've built? Not because they're covetous and not because they're selfish, but because they have achieved something that they didn't think they could achieve. See, in the black community, and I'm not saying this don't happen in other communities, given our history, people are quick to jump on this "you owe me something" bandwagon because I'm related to you. Or even if they don't come out and directly say it, they imply it. And this is a person who could have contributed to your trauma. And this trauma can happen in significant ways, like these kids witnessing guns all the time. And again, I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm for Second Amendment rights. So don't come for me saying that I'm taking your guns away. I'm not. Okay? It's just if that's all a child sees, you can't get mad when they perpetuate that when they're older. I'm talking about leaving your kids with relatives who are flighty and funny acting, and those kids have to walk on eggshells because they don't know day by day how bipolar that person's going to react, whether they genuinely have a mental illness, including bipolar, or if they really just don't want those kids around. See, right now I'm not going to discuss the very severe stuff like what happened to this baby, because though that happened and we need to address it, I'm talking about the emotional stuff here. The feeling that somebody's related to you, because this also plays into the baby actually, so let me take that back. The feeling that you are just a burden to be passed along to relatives, but those same people want you to appreciate them later on. Baby, I used to change your diaper. But you can still remember when that person would curse at you like a well-soiled sailor. No pun intended, because I served in the Navy. You know, some people left the hood, like myself, because we were tired of hearing guns going off and wondering when you're going to have to duck and not be able to have fun. Some people left the hood because you knew you had bad relatives. And these days, since the elderly and children are no longer off limits, you now know that your child and your bloodline can be targeted for things. See, the thing about the black community that really grinds my gears and gets me mad is that other people will tell you, well, that's your family and family is everything and la la la. Are they though? I used to disdain and envy black people who went to great family reunions and would talk about stories and passed on recipes, because I have not a single recipe from my family. Even on my mother's side, where I get along with that maternal side better, no one wants to share anything. Oh, I forgot this and this. Come on, you just don't want to give up the recipe. You just want it to go to the grave with you. And I did a video on generational grace, and I am all for extending generational grace. But we also need to have a conversation about the fact that there's things that still traumatize us to where we go away and y'all treat us like a rock in a hard place. If we go be successful, live in a clean multiracial neighborhood, if we don't let our kids stay up all night and stuff like that, y'all want to call us stuck up and stuff. See, here's what's problematic about what happened to this baby. This child was in a toxic environment and never had a chance. And if we're honest with ourselves, this is more common in the hood than we'd like to discuss. Screw the whole old saying, quit putting our dirty laundry out on the street. Why do people feel that way and want to hiss and call people Uncle Toms and stuff when you sit here and do stupid stuff online, put yourself out there, and then get upset about other people making and passing judgment about it? Y'all posted these pictures posed with guns acting like gangsters. This article is a telltale article of how a little beautiful little girl never had a chance to live a normal life. Rectal bleeding and brain bleed. Now y'all both want to play stupid to avoid prison. My sister wouldn't do that. How do you actually know? Before I end this video, we'll get to that, okay? This baby girl was posed in a diaper surrounded by money. 50s, probably some hundreds, definitely some 20s in there. I would say more 20s. I don't think I saw a 50, so let me omit that. Some dollar bills, of course, some $1 bills. Images are everything, okay? Y'all posed up with guns, you're advertising violence. Before I end this video, I don't care who this offends. I think this mother's full of crap. Even if you don't believe your sister did it, and I said I was going to get back to the mother. How do you rationalize knowing that you don't trust the man that she's in the house with, calling him a ninja on either online or in some interview? It was that ninja she was with. And yet you put your kid in the hands of your sister whilst that sister lived in living quarters with a man you did not trust. Do you even have an ounce of guilt for that? And this is another thing. We'll assume, oh, I don't like this person, but I know my relative will protect from this and this. Ma'am, by that logic, if you felt like that man could be harmful to your sister, you really thought your sister could protect your baby from him? Because a part of me believes she did. That baby was a burden on her, but she knew that you would blame him because you just had something against him. This could go both ways, but either way, you had your hesitations and still dropped your child off there. You are derelict, and you are just as responsible as them because you knew you did not trust that situation and dropped that child off. See, this is 100%. You can't say, oh, I 100% trust my sister, but 0% trust this Negro. No, it's 50-50. That means you 50% trusted your sister and 50% didn't trust that guy. Which means you put your child in a lose situation because you didn't trust it to begin with. You didn't do this to your daughter, and you in no way would have wanted this to be done to your child. And you couldn't have imagined that it was going to be taken this far, but you still put that baby in a situation that you knew you didn't trust. See, the reason I named this video before I ended what I did, because this was really more of a rant than anything. Imagine the babies like this beautiful child who actually live. And they live knowing and grow up knowing that they're being dropped off by blood relations who gonna yell, get your ass in that corner and sit down. I'll knock you in the middle of next week. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because they see you as a burden that they have to take care of because really they think your relative didn't do proper planning. Next thing you know, you're so jittery and upset, you start having digestive issues. You start wetting the bed because you're afraid to go get up and pee in the middle of the night. You start breaking dishes because you're on eggshells and you want to be so perfect, because sometimes you want to be so perfect you'll actually mess up. Quit getting mad at these kids when they grow up, realize something ain't right, run away, and you don't hear from them no more. Because I can say to some degree I was that baby, only I survived. That don't make me any better than her. This just hurts me more than anything. Reporting this hurts. When y'all gonna stop doing this stupid stuff? Then putting yourself online. Then, oh my God, that precious baby. Your photos indicate who you really are. Social media is applicable in the court of law. And although I grieve for this mother, I just don't believe she's innocent. I believe she's just as culpable because she put her child in a situation that she was aware is derelict.